Hey guys, welcome to Source ADV. I'm Mark Jackson. So today behind me, I've got a YZ250X that I got recently. Now that the 500EXC is all adventurized and that sort of thing, and definitely more for travel and for, dual sporting, this guy's gonna become the new woods weapon and single track weapon, and also the bike that I raced this year. So got a bunch of goodies here: FMF Gnarly pipe, turbine core silencer, some grips, a Tusk rear disc protector, skid plate, some Cyker hand guards, and an hour meter, and some soft compound grips that we got to get on this puppy to get it ready for Colorado trails, and also a JD jetting kit to get it ready for elevation here. So pretty excited to get all this stuff on here, and then we'll go for a little rip, see how she does. Already I can tell it's a crazy lightweight bike. Just like moving it around is nothing compared to the 500EXC. Well, nothing, right? So really excited to get this bike out on the trail and see how it does. And then I'll probably bring it over to, or at least the suspension over tuned up here for Colorado and type of riding I do. And yeah, looking forward to ripping this thing. Cool, let's get into it. All right, you can see here that the stock pipe is off. One of the things to note too is if you do not have a spring puller for your exhaust springs for like a two-stroke like this, all you got to do is just take a zip tie and put it around the spring, and then you give it a little yank. You can use the same ones going back on and then just cut them at the end. So it's super easy. Let's get this guy back up in here. I also realized that the skid plate would be way easier to install. There we go. Also realized that the skid plate is going to be way easier to install with the pipe off. So just go ahead and slide this on there, and then we'll get this pipe reinstalled, this new pipe installed. So make sure that you, of course, grab your little grommet guy here and put it onto your new pipe. The fat end goes on the actual pipe itself, like so. There we go. And now you have a seal between your pipe and your silencer. Easy breezy. Gotta love working on two strokes. Totally different world, huh? So I'm just gonna pull that silencer off. It's just 2 bolts. And get that skid plate locked up. And it's just has one little cross member like this. I gotta figure out where it goes first. And then just 2 little bolts that go through the skid plate right here. So let's keep going. As you can see, the works connection skid plate is on now. And I got this other mount for the front of the pipe back on loosely. Springs are still up there, silencer's still on, but I just want to show you one thing. Luckily, these factory little zip ties here that you kind of wiggle around here to get the bracket in are just, actually they're reusable. So you can just pop them and then you can re-cinch them down when they're all done. So I don't have to totally loosen those. I'm gonna leave, yep, there we go. There's the radiator vent, and then my power valve vent is right out through the bottom here, because that will drip some oil inevitably. So I want that one to come out of the bottom of the plate. So there's the radiator vent and some wires, and just crank that back down. And one of the other things I wanted to note too is that just when you're pulling the silencer on this, there is 2 different bolts, and we're going to reuse these rubber grommets on our turbine core silencer. So just make sure you note that. All right, when you're putting the new pipe back on, you just got to note that it comes with these little clip-on nuts. You just have to clip them into the pipe itself, like so, on both places, the front and rear mount. Just make sure you got some O-rings in your pipe to keep that puppy nice and sealed. And then you're just going to pop those little, for the silencer, you're just going to pop those little spacers and washers out with a screwdriver, and then put the rubber back on the turbine core silencer, or whatever silencer you put on there. Okay, so I've got the new Gnarly pipe. Just everything's kind of like finger tight, not tight at all. Like all these are finger tight. And I'm gonna get those springs back down here. So all you gotta do is take those same zip ties that you use to pull the springs off. So you don't need a spring puller. And then, the bike wants to spin a little bit here. And then use them to pull it back on, like so. And then I'll just sit there like that, and then just use some wire cutters to cut the, there we go. And there you go, once it's on, just use some wire cutters to give them a little snip. And you have a one-use spring puller, very easy. Okay, one of the things to note about the silencer is that the back bolt here, which looks like it also holds this fender on, had some Loctite on it. The front bolt did not. So just make sure you do a little bit of Loctite on this guy, and you can use a little bit of high temp silicone sealer to make this joint a little bit more tight, and then just slide this coupler back a little bit, like so, and get it nice and centered on the joint. And then now that the silencer's all stable, because that's all hooked to fixed mounting points on the subframe, you can then go back and tighten this and this bottom one, and at that point you have a new exhaust. Oh, beautiful 2019 YZ250X. Looking good. Oh yeah. Cool. Nice, got some disc protection now, engine protection, woods pipe, turbine core 2 with a spark arrestor, and we're only about 25 minutes in, so it's coming along nicely. Let's get the bike jetted, and then we can get these hand guards, grips, and last but not least the hour meter on there. Okay, as you can see, I pulled the tank, spilled some gas everywhere, and I've twisted the carb over to the right a little bit so I can pull, slide out like so. Just gotta move this little sensor out of the way, pull the slide out, because I'm gonna have to change the needle on this guy with the JD jetting kit. And then I'm actually gonna pull the whole carb off and just give it a little look inside, because this bike was sitting for a little while, and just make sure everything's clean inside and give it a little spritz of some carb cleaner. But first things first, I'll get this needle out and replace it with the right needle from the JD jetting kit, which for me is the red needle, I believe on the second clip position down, and then pull this carb out and swap the main and the pilot jet as well, and give it a little once over. Cool, not too hard. Okay guys, I've got the needle retainer and throttle cable holder loosened from the slide itself. As you can see here, I'm going to be going with the red needle right there, because it is above 50 degrees, it's going into summer riding. And I'm going to go into clip position 2, which if you see on the diagram there is the second one down. I'm going to pull the retaining clip from the blue one and put it in clip position 2, and then reinstall it into this slide. Easy breezy. Oh, just so we're clear too, I'm going into clip position 2 because my primary riding location is above 6,000 feet. I ride a teeny bit, right around 5,500 feet at a track called IMI, but most of our riding is up around 10,000 actually, so I'm going to go clip position 2
at the worst case. Yeah, I'm gonna go clip position 2 on this guy. Okay, so you can see the factory needle here in the right hand side, and then the JD jetting needle here. I'll put them here on the... Can't really see any difference, right? That's the point. It's very small fuel changes, but you can see here. Come on, focus, buddy. Maybe you can't see there, but it's in clip position 2, so a second notch down. I'm just going to reinstall that back into the slide and then work on the main jets. So yeah, I forgot to explain this whole chart here, right? You've got your elevations at the top, your needle, which is 50 degrees above, and then there's kind of this, so everything up here is 50 degrees and above, and then at your elevation, you cross-reference it. But then at 50 degrees and below, you go to the blue needle, right? So you swap out based on this line, and you do also swap the main jet as well. So there's enough extra air at 50 degrees that you're gonna want a bigger main jet, right? So we'd hop from a 165 to a 170, and we get a bigger needle, or a more flowing needle as well. But in this case, we're gonna use the sorry, you probably can't see that. It says 165 on the side, and a 45 pilot, and get that in there. All right, so just in case you were wondering, the factory pilot jet was a 50. The one that went in there was a 45, and the factory main jet was a 178. The one that went in there was a 165. So now that the carb's all back on there again, and everything's tightened down, you just want to make sure that you don't forget to reconnect your 2 sensors on the carb over here. Luckily, there's a 2-wire one and a 3-wire one, so you can't really mix them up or anything like that. So get those back in there and get the tank back on and all reconnected. And then the last thing you want to do is go ahead, according to JD Jetting, is bring your air screw in, which is this little screw here at the bottom, not that one. That's your regular idle screw. The one down there, bring it in all the way, and then bring it out 1 1/8 turn, and then you might have to adjust it anywhere between 1 and 2 turns, it says. So you'll have to do that and figure that out on your own, and I'm gonna do the same. So I'm gonna get the connectors back on and then put this tank back on and then see how she runs.
As you can see here, the bike is already in pieces again. Got 3 full rides on the bike with the gnarly pipe, turbine core silencer, and JD jetting kit. The bike runs pretty darn good. I've got a little bit of mid-range hesitation, which I'm guessing is because I'm running Motor X oil and it's actually at a higher ratio. So I'm running it at like 50 to 1, 55 to 1. And my guess would be that it's running a little bit rich and the plug looks a little bit wet. So I'm actually just going to circumvent all of that. And I've got a SmartCarb coming for the bike. And it's all set up for the type of riding that I like. So that'll be pretty cool to review. But overall, like the bike, the gnarly pipe and the turbine core silencer are great. You know, like this thing can chug along. You know, I'm noticing maybe 1/4 of the stalls that I have on the 500EXC and really tight, rooty, rocky first gear stuff. It's an amazing bike. It's so lightweight compared to my 500EXC. But with that comes some other challenges, right? It definitely dances a lot more. And I'm also noticing the feedback that a lot of people are saying is that for someone who's 6'1" or 6 foot and above, the chassis feels really cramped. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the Fastway dropped pegs, and I've got some BRP rubber mounted handlebar clamps with a Scott steering stabilizer that I hope should address the cramped cockpit and help stabilize the front end of the bike a little bit. I'm not gonna use the stabilizer to its maximum setting, just enough to keep a little bit more of a straight line tracking in rough, rocky, rooty stuff. But otherwise, it's an amazing bike. The suspension's out right now. I'm just getting it adjusted to handle rough, rocky, rooty stuff here in Colorado a little bit more. Really loving this bike. It is a, you know, super simple bike to work on. The pipe and turbine core silencer work great. The thing can chug along very easily. Skid plate's all right. I'll probably get a different one that protects the linkage. Because this one, I've definitely got myself hung up a few times already. The range seems great. I did a 7-hour, 40-mile ride on some super technical stuff and probably had, you know, still had a nice 1/3 of a tank left. So you can definitely get some good range out of it. My guess it's probably around 65 miles, somewhere in there. And the handguards are awesome. I'm really liking these Cycro Pro Bend handguards. And yeah, all right. Thanks for watching Source ADV and tuning in and checking out the build of this 2019 YZ250X. So we got a pipe silencer, jetting on there. It's going to be getting a flywheel weight. It's going to be getting a SmartCarb. It's getting new suspension. It's getting a BRP rubber mounted handlebar clamp with a Scott's steering stabilizer. So definitely subscribe, and I'll be doing reviews of all those different things. I'm going to try to do them one at a time so I can really tell the difference on this particular bike. So yeah. Please subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, and take care. Enjoy the ride.